Hi, welcome to Similar But Different, the podcast. Let's do that again. Okay. But I'm getting all the benefits.
Without having to pay.
Right.
Yeah, they screwed me. And then I found a bunch of friends that I was different from. I think I'd like the gram more if I got hit up in my DMs.
Okay, this should probably end. Welcome to Similar But Different. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Jen.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, Rach.
I kind of noticed that actually is the cadence of me saying, hey, Jen.
Well, you know,
beginning. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, it starts the combo.
Yeah.
Instead of you just hammering me with the topics of the day.
All right. Well, you were talking about how it's summer and you need to tan your legs.
Yep.
And I was on a trip this weekend and I burnt the crap out of my legs.
Oh, I was like, you don't look burnt. You look like you have really good color.
But
But you have your legs covered.
yeah, they are like, I will show you a picture of them at their worst, or just, show you after this.
Yeah.
You all are not paid subscribers, so you don't get to see that. But so for the people at home, I went to Yellowstone on a trip with some friends. And on like our first day, we went four-wheeling to this lake, which I've never driven one of those before.
so
and it was
cool.
very fun. And I just assumed that everyone would want to be the driver. No. It was like, so we were staying with a friend who works on this dude ranch, and he was like, who feels the most comfortable driving one of these? And I didn't want to be like, me, because I wanted to give other people a chance if they wanted to, and other people were not interested. And so I was like, yes, please.
The four-wheeler has multiple passenger seats.
I did notice that on the warning sign, it said one rider only.
Oh.
But we just put someone on the back because it's kind of like a motorcycle. It had that like extra space in the back so someone could just sit,
I got you. Yeah. So you just had someone holding on tight?
Yeah. And it wasn't hot. So I tend to only think to put on sunscreen when it's hot out. So the sun was bright, but it was not hot.
Rachel, you're better than that.
I know, as someone as fair-skinned as I.
Yeah.
But I think like in Virginia, when you are like, I don't put on sunscreen unless it's hot out, and I'm fine. But I also don't like, just because when the sun is out in summer, it's hot in Virginia.
Yeah, and you think about it more when you're like actively sweating your ass off.
So like, yeah, when the sun's out in October, you don't need to put on sunscreen. I mean, you should always put sunscreen on your face every day, even if you stay inside. So that's why my face did not get burned, because I had sunscreen on my face.
And your moisturizer, yeah.
Yeah. And was wearing a hat.
Which is great. Your face won't leather up as fast as your legs will.
Right.
Apparently.
They like feel like leather. They're like that
what type
dry.
Of skin is just waiting to peel off.
And this happened, which I do. That's like, how people have their gross habits.
That's your ick?
Like people like popping pimples or like plucking hairs or whatever. Mine is peeling dead skin. And that's why I like pick at my cuticles so much.
Oh.
I've like picked friends' sunburn peel. Yeah.
I think
you're making a face, but you know what's more common? People popping other people's pimples, and pus comes out of those.
Yeah, no, I get it. I also think that I like peeling sunburnt skin, because I also like the game of how can you peel the piece,
a big piece,
all together.
Now, have you ever done one of those foot peels?
No, I haven't. But honestly,
those
that looks
are enjoyable.
It's gross on other people.
Like to peel,
but I like to peel.
Yeah.
So where do you draw the line at peeling? Like, is it just peeling skin from sunburn, or would you peel do you pick at scabs?
I do pick at scabs. I thought I didn't know where that was going. I was like, I also peel clementine. I don't get the same satisfaction from that. Yeah, I will pick at scabs. And yeah, pick at my
Your
dry cuticles. That's
yeah.
why I like carry hand lotion with me all the time, because if they are slightly dry,
you'll just
I will pick at them. Yeah, they're kind of raw and you can see like dried blood on them now. So
I mean, if that's your ick, that's better than others. Because like honestly, I think the most disgusting things are things that like people will put stuff in their mouth, like their fingers. And when I say people, I do it. It is the most disgusting thing that I do, and I try to stop myself whenever I do it. And I think I've gotten better. It used to be a serious habit of just putting my fingernails in my mouth and like chewing
Oh,
on them.
chewing your nails
It's
or chewing
fucking
your
gross.
fingers.
Chewing your fingernails.
Okay, yeah, I've never done that.
It's nasty. Think about the stuff that
Yeah, and
builds
you are
up.
very, like, germiverse.
Yes. And I hate it every time I do it. I'm like, "Oh, I don't wanna do that. Oh, it's in my mouth." But I do it, and I hate it, and I'm
Yeah, I've
working on
never been a
stopping.
nail biter,
That's see? So
but a
if people
cuticle
try to make fun
ripper.
of you,
Yeah.
say, "Shit, at least I don't put that shit in my mouth."
Well, once, my friend's husband, he was, like, in a grad school class or something, and me and the friend were living this is unimportant details. My friend's husband was in a classroom setting and was like, "There's this girl in my class who just like rips off the skin around her nails all class. It's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen." And I was like, "Mm, I do that all the time."
It is not that disgusting.
I mean, I
The
guess it
disgusting thing
is
he's
when
ever
it's like
seen?
just when you think about it's like chunks of skin that you're just like
Sure.
ripping off. But also,
Sure.
that happens when you scratch yourself.
Yeah.
I'm getting flakes all over this place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I do it all the time because I don't moisturize my legs very well either. They flake a lot.
Yeah, I'm a dry girly. I do moisturize all the time. But,
Um,
like, right now with how sunburnt my legs are, I will put on lotion or aloe or whatever,
Aloe.
and it just immediately is absorbed.
Sh Your
Yeah,
legs are dry.
yeah.
Your legs
They're
need some
so
moisture.
dry. But, yeah, I was like, something that I can be grateful for is the peeling process will be nice, and as someone who doesn't tan at all, I will probably have the smallest hint of a slightly warmer color on my legs.
Well, you have it all over right now, and I
'Cause I'm
wouldn't say the
wearing brown
smallest hint.
pants?
No, I think that you look like you have some color.
Oh, well, I did burn my hands too from holding on to the
Oh, so
four-wheeler,
the
so
burning
it's
was
kinda
all
got
from
on
the
my
four-wheeler.
arms.
Was
Yeah,
that for day 1 that you guys
yeah.
did that?
Now
Oh,
granted, the only thing that hurts is, like, the tops of my thighs,
okay,
and
good.
'cause, like, my shins and hands and everything got burnt, but not enough to cause immense
Well,
damage.
that's good. I mean,
Yeah.
it sucks that it happened the first day of your vacation,
Yeah,
but
and day 2, we went horseback riding, so I was nervous about that, but ibuprofen does a lot for sunburn. I
yeah,
kinda forgot that,
okay.
so that was very
Were you
helpful.
afraid to ride the horse?
No.
I feel like I'm afraid of horses, but I got on a horse when I went to Argentina, but I was on the back of a horse. No, I was on by myself, but it's scary. Horses are scary.
I mean, yeah, you shouldn't, like, walk behind them and stuff,
Yeah.
but they were nice horses, and they're also horses that's, like, job is taking people who don't ride horses on trail
Yeah.
rides and stuff, and even similar question, the guy who took us on the trail ride was like, "Who's most comfortable being on a horse?" And I was like, "I feel comfortable because my neighbor had a horse growing up and, like, being in Girl Scouts, I don't know, I just,
Oh.
like, done it a couple times. I mean, I'm not, like, galloping through the mountains, and I can't, like, ride by myself or know
Yeah.
anything about horses, but, so they, like, know their personalities, and are like, "Okay, you be with this one because 'cause they're a little more, you know,
Ah.
rowdy, or they like to be really close to this horse because that's who they're dating or whatever."
Oh.
Yeah, it was very fun to learn about the different horse
The love life romance
dynamics.
of
Yeah.
horses. That's cute.
But yeah, I think I learned that I'm not scared of a lot of things.
I'm impressed by that. Horses are like they're intimidating because they're just so much bigger than I feel like you really expect
Yeah. I
or I
think
expect.
if I'm with someone who knows what they're doing, I'm just like, you know more than me,
Comfortable.
so I feel good with this. Like I was giving the example of once with the same group of girls, we went I think it was in Mexico, and we did an excursion that was like climb up this mountain, and then there's all these like natural like jumping points and waterfalls that you can like slide off of or jump down to get down the mountain. And I would never just like see a cliff and think, yeah, it's safe for me to jump into this water. You don't know what's under there.
Yeah, no, fuck no.
But with the guide, I'm like, they do this every day with groups. They know the areas to jump. Granted, my one friend was like, well, I was scared because they were like, you have to land in this area. Don't jump over there.
Yeah,
But I
no,
was
that's
like, girl,
scary.
you're doing it. So,
I'm not even making it up to the top of the cliff because I'm
really?
afraid of heights. So, yeah, I can't.
Well,
I'm
I
not
told you
climbing
I'm
up
going to
there.
make you do that like canopy park with me.
What is that?
It's like an obstacle course
Yeah.
in the sky.
Yep. I hate it.
And then I,
Hate
in
it.
turn,
Hate it.
will do something that you want to do that is out of my comfort zone.
But you just said you're not really afraid or uncomfortable with anything. Well, are you uncomfortable? What are you uncomfortable with? Tell me your weaknesses.
I mean, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I like to be well, I mean, if you were just like get on stage and solve these math problems in front of 100 people, I wouldn't like to do that. I
All
remember
right.
I interviewed for a job once, the place where we both worked, and we had to like do these math worksheets.
Mhm.
And I finished the front that was just addition and subtraction. You have like, I don't know, 2 minutes to like do this whole worksheet. And then I flipped it over, or maybe there was some like division and multiplication on the front too. And then I flipped it over and it was
Small.
like the percent of this, the blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, that's not happening. And
I'm looking for a marketing job here.
yeah. And the person interviewing me came in and was like, how was that? And I said, not good, Tom. Not good.
Tom?
But I did get the job, so thanks,
Yeah.
Tom.
I think they realized that, like, I mean, yeah. For some roles, I don't understood why they never understood why they gave that to some people.
Yeah, and I
Others
have
make
a
sense.
calculator in my pocket, so,
And also, like, everything on a computer can solve
yeah.
is much quicker than you can
I
fast
guess
math.
it's just to see, like, basic because, I mean, I did work with numbers and do, like, you know, being able to do a basic analysis of stuff is
It's
important.
different than addition and subtraction, though.
Right.
But yeah, no.
That's
Well, those things in the heights thing, I I've done those before.
okay. And you
So
hated it?
I can do it. Like I can like I
I
wouldn't
don't
say
wanna,
it's
like,
conquering the fear. I would not say it's
make
conquering
you
the
not
fear.
ha I don't want you to not have fun because that's not fun for me.
Well, I mean, I always am happier with myself for at least trying it.
I'll give you a
Um,
participation trophy.
yeah, it's just it's the path to get there is always rough and embarrassing for me a little bit. Like Sarah will remember this from when we went to Iceland together and went to climb up to the top of a waterfall. And there were steps that didn't have railings everywhere, and it was just really scary looking, and if you were to fall, which that's not the reason why you're afraid of heights, like, you're not necessarily afraid of falling to your death,
Okay.
it's just falling in general, and that feeling of
Yeah.
falling is terrifying, or at least for me it is. I don't wanna speak for everybody who's afraid of heights. Um, and so, yeah, if I fell off of these stairs, I would just roll down the hill some larger jumps and hit rocks.
Yeah,
But,
that wouldn't feel good.
I crawled my way up on the steps.
Aw,
Sarah was very, very comforting, mostly I think she laughed a lot, and
that
but
feels
it
more
was
right.
comforting.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was definitely one of those things where I did not like getting there was like, "Yes, I'm glad I did this because I would, I wouldn't have known what I was missing out." But the path there, no, hate it. Mhm.
But
Hate
then once you're at the top, you were like, "This is amazing."
yeah, it was really cool to be up there,
And
but
was
I
it
also still
scary to
can't get
come
close to the
down?
edge. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm, all of those things. So,
Yeah.
heights suck.
So you mentioned the fear of falling. So because I like to do, I don't know, I guess adventurous things, like
Mhm.
I'm like, "Oh, bungee jumping would be fun." But I also like, that feeling of falling, like that drop in your stomach, I actually don't enjoy that
Yeah.
feeling.
You get it on roller coasters too.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Yeah, well, I do like roller coasters.
They're fun.
I don't enjoy them anymore, though, because the older I get, the worse my motion sickness gets, and I
Mm.
already struggle with headaches, and so when your head's just, like, bopping between the things.
Yeah. I wanna go to Orlando later this year and do the Harry Potter, rides. I feel like it's, like, my
Oh,
last
you've
time.
been?
Mhm. I haven't been since they put in the new, ride, the Hippogriff one. Hippogriff?
Okay, that sounds right.
Um, the Buckbeak. Yeah, I don't think I've been for that. Or is Hagrid's newer too? I don't remember. But we went and we had a great time, so I think we're like, "Hey, let's just do another, like, trip to Orlando."
Yeah, and it's cheap to get to Orlando from
Is it?
here. If you
The flights?
Yeah. I mean, the park probably a park pass is more expensive than flying to
Yeah.
Orlando.
The Airbnbs in the area are so nice too. Like, we can get for 4 nights, I think you can pay, like, $500 or less.
Yeah, that's nice. The
Yeah.
Airbnb that we stayed in that one time for Podfest, not nice.
Not so nice.
Yeah,
Uh,
those photos were
that's funny.
misleading. I felt bad about that.
That happens
and
though.
we didn't sleep.
Now honestly, I feel like AI is only gonna make it worse, like, you can make a place look so nice, like, honestly, the people that thought we were in this, like, huddled, cramped attic, we
Yeah.
are, we're just using AI to manipulate the image.
Yeah,
Just
I'm not
kidding.
even sitting.
No. They're like, "We know better because
Yeah.
you can't even get your audio and video processed. Can't do You don't know what you're doing."
Uh,
But that's the problem though, is that, like, you literally wind up looking at pictures and like, "Oh, this looks nice," and then you're in, like, a bad,
yeah.
bad situation.
Skylar and I stayed at an Airbnb in England, and it wasn't not nice, but it was tiny. Like,
Everything there
so
is so much
small.
smaller.
Yeah, and we weren't staying in, like, London, which is where people are like, "Oh, yeah, you're paying a boatload for, like, the tiniest,
It's like New
tiniest
York.
room."
Well, I don't what I imagine New
Um,
York is.
and yeah. I mean, it was still fun, like, we weren't in the room a lot, so it didn't really matter, we just needed a place to sleep, and,
I went on a
but yeah.
work trip, well, we went early to watch a soccer game with another coworker, a male who he was married, like, it was just 100% platonic, but it's like, "Let's share a hotel room." We got a double bed like, 2
Yeah.
separate beds. We walk into the hotel room and the beds are butted up next to each other, and it's the smallest cramped hotel room. I'm like, "This is gonna be fucking uncomfortable." I don't think it was fine, like, we didn't but
Yeah.
it's just like, I felt bad for him because I know how Nathan is now, like,
Right.
I can only imagine what he chose not to use the restroom
Yeah.
for. I don't yeah, it was an interesting, like, 24 hours because it was just one night.
Yeah, I was gonna say that listing should include square footage, but honestly, square footage doesn't mean
Doesn't
that
help
much
you?
to me. I feel like because I know the square footage of my house, I'm like, "Okay," and it for an entire house, I can get a gauge, but for a room, I don't really know. I mean, I guess I can use the internet to look it up, but,
Yeah.
when Taylor and I were in Spain for the Renaissance, we booked r a double room, like a room with a double bed, which we assumed meant 2 beds,
Uh-huh.
and it actually just meant 1 bed that is, like, a full. Once we Googled afterwards, like, "The hell?" We were gonna go downstairs and be like, "You gave us the wrong room," and then we looked it up and we're like, "Oh, this is what that means here." I mean,
Oh.
granted, we're best friends, so
Yeah, it
it
was
was
fine.
not a big deal, we just shared the bed, um, but that was comical.
So, you don't have to I might actually butcher this, but, like, square foot's actually not that hard if you do it in, like, like, a 10 by 10 room is 100 square feet.
So math?
Yeah, but
How
it's like a
much
cheat
what
sheet.
is the square footage of this room?
I feel like it's probably 120 square feet.
Okay, if I can commit that to memory, which I will not, um,
It's probably 200 no, because so if a 10 by 10 is 100, which I think is right, and, like, 25 by 25 is 500. This is maybe 10 feet wide and 25 long, so it
I like how you're like, "It's
it
so
it
easy."
might
Well, this room, I don't
I
know.
just meant that I didn't mean it was easy, I just meant that, like, there's a things that you can do is, like, okay, if it's 10 by 10, it's 100 square
Right,
feet,
but
and then
yeah,
add another another 10 by 10, or a 5 by 5 will get you 50 square feet.
sure. I guess, in all honesty, there's not many times in my life where I'm like, "Oh, if only I could figure out the square footage of this space," so I'm probably okay.
Yeah. I feel like that's a thing though that, it's not what's the metric system versus the, um, whatever they do in other countries? Whatever it is that you do. I feel like they know how to do those things. Like,
Yeah,
they
because it makes
speak
sense.
yeah. But not to us because we
Right,
weren't raised that way,
but,
but
like, with, like, the numbering, the way we do it doesn't
makes any sense.
make
Makes sense at all.
sense,
No,
and
not
we're
at
just
all.
like, "We're gonna be different."
Yep, and stupider.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the dumber way to do it, but that's fine.
Speaking of the Renaissance, Taylor listened to that episode recently, and I said I wasn't gonna do this, but because it was naturally brought up, she was upset because when I described why I called it the Renaissance, and I said it's like a rebirth of the friendship, she was like, "That makes it sound like we've had a falling out and we were
Oh,
coming back together for a rebirth, and you need to provide a disclaimer on the podcast." And I was like, "I'm not gonna do that." But here I am. So we had not have a falling out. I just feel like
But if we ever do, no, I'm
right.
just kidding.
I was like, I don't think if I had a fallout with a friend and I was like, you know what?
We
Let's
should just
just
go
go in hard on this thousands of dollar trip where
that
we
we're only
share a
stuck with each
bed
other.
for a week. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If it helps, Taylor, I never went there. I never thought
Good.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people did say to us, like, "Oh, wow, you'll see if you still like each other after this trip." And
Well,
I'm like,
if you've never
"Okay."
traveled before with
We
people,
hadn't.
oh, yeah, no,
But I've
that's
also
actually a
known
big
her since I was 5, so I'm like, I feel
doesn't matter.
pretty
Doesn't matter how long you've known each other. Like, some people, traveling with them is drastically different than being friends with them.
yeah, but I do feel like knowing someone since you were 5
You would know that by now.
does yeah, that's a long time.
But if you haven't traveled with each other, you haven't been through that
But
experience to
we
know.
also know each other's, like, travel personalities because we both have traveled and then discuss it.
Mm, okay, yeah, that
I mean, I
helps.
do definitely get what you're saying because I will argue that even if you've been, like, dating someone for 5 years and then you move in together, you still learn a
A
lot, and it
lot.
is different.
Yeah, agreed.
Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's one of those things, and I feel like I'm one of the harder people to travel with just because of my personality.
we've
Like,
traveled together
a couple times
once,
now.
couple times, even though I don't know if, like, traveling to your parents' house counts as traveling, but then we've traveled to
Pennsylvania,
Pennsylvania
went to
and
Florida.
Florida. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I sat in pee.
I love
I
that.
forget about that, and friends will
How?
randomly text me and say, "Remember that time you sat in pee?"
Yep, I
And
think
I'm
about
like,
you.
"Yeah, I do."
I think about you often sitting in pee.
Story for another day. I was actually thinking since we started talking about fears,
Oh.
do you not wanna talk about that? I was
No,
like,
let's
"That could
do
be
it.
kinda
Let's go in
fun."
on it. I'm all for it.
When people say to me, like, "What are you scared of?" I immediately think of sharks and the dark.
Oh, I immediately think of spiders and heights.
I've gotten more okay with spiders over the years. They used to really not like them. Like a tarantula, I can't even actually look at a picture of one. I
Yeah, it
don't like
makes
those.
you yep.
But just like the little spiders that you see in your house, um,
That's
I'm okay with that.
see, and you mentioned sharks. In my mind, sharks, not a fear. I don't go anywhere where they can get me. And I'm okay with that. I don't like the ocean because I don't like the sand. And so I don't need to worry or be afraid of sharks. However, spiders, you don't know if they're crawling on you at this very moment.
They probably are.
And they could be planting their eggs of my biggest fear is, and it's a nightmare that I've had, which like maybe that makes it worse. I don't know, I can't remember exactly the nightmare, but I know that I was in a scenario and there was something that looked like a button, or a little ball, and it was a little white ball, and I pushed it,
Oh no.
and then millions of spiders just covered me from head to
That's
toe.
awful.
Yeah, that is that's why that's the scary spiders are terrifying.
I will say, if I'm ever watching Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets,
Oof.
I close my eyes or like look down during the part where they follow the spiders.
Oh, yeah. It's like
It's really upsetting to me.
yeah, it makes me mad that Hagrid would even put them through that.
And even though they are so obviously not realistic
Not real.
looking spiders, like it's still I just hate it.
Oh, it's funny because the big ones don't scare me. The ones that I think are unrealistic, I'm not afraid of those. It's the ones that are small
But then all the
scare
ones
me.
that are like so when they're just like start to follow the spiders, those tiny ones, they
Mhm.
bother you
They
more?
bother me, and then, like, there's a certain point to where I'm no longer bothered.
Okay.
I say that, but if I was in Australia and I've seen those spiders that are the size of tree
I'd
trunks,
pass. No,
fucking
thank
out.
you.
I'm fucking out.
Now, similar to your spider, so my biggest fear is that I will dive under a wave in the ocean and come up and Jaws will be there with its mouth open.
Just
And
swear you're
yeah,
just diving right into it.
and then people are like, "Yeah, just punch a shark in the nose." And I'm like,
Shut up.
What
Fucking people.
shut up." I love that. It was so just like instantaneous.
I feel
Ah.
Yeah,
And then
no,
people,
shut
they
up.
say, they're like, "Well, if a shark bites you, they'll realize that you're not a seal and swim away." And I'm like, "Well, guess whose leg is gone?
Yeah, no, shut up
Mine."
about that too, okay? Because no, there's no way. They get
Yeah.
a taste and they want more. Sharks eat
Well,
fucking
I do
license
believe
plates.
that Fair. I do believe that they might not finish eating me, but I still
Sure,
would like
a
to
leg.
keep
Both
all
legs.
my legs. And also, it is possible that I would bleed out because, I'm just swimming in circles
Yeah.
if I'm missing one of my limbs. And we discussed in the last episode, neither of us are strong swimmers.
Yes, you're so right. I like that you said swimming in a circle.
Yeah.
I envision that you lost your leg and your arm. And
Yeah.
on one side and you just
And especially, like, it's already hard enough to, like, get back to shore. Like, I think one of the most humbling experiences is walking out of the ocean back to land, and then the wave hits you, and you just, like, tumble,
Yeah.
and you're trying to, like, drudge through, but then you get caught and you just fall straight over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's funny because if you think about back in the day, the Baywatch show, no one looks good coming out of the water, but
No.
they figured out a way to make people look good, and maybe it's
Do
just
they
because they
come out
picked
of
the
the
right
water,
people.
or they're
Yeah.
just running on the beach?
Hello, Pamela Anderson, like, coming up, hair, and then she's just running, slow motion, just working it. Yeah, they all looked good coming out of the
I
water.
never watched Baywatch.
I feel like I haven't seen it in a long time, and it's probably not, as good as I remember.
I will still go in the ocean.
I don't like I mean, I'll go, I
But I
guess.
don't like to go too far.
Jars just waiting
Yeah.
there.
And I would never like swimming with sharks, like, in a cage, as
No,
much as I'm like, "Oh, I like adventure." Like, it makes me uncomfortable to think about, and similarly with not being able to look at pictures of spiders, I don't even like to look at pictures
of
of
sharks,
sharks. So,
wow.
like, when Shark Week is being advertised, I once,
I love Shark Week.
worked for a marketing company that did the social media for Verizon Fios, and they were, like, advertising as a partner for Shark Week, so all the social media assets were these fucking sharks, and I was like,
Worst
"This is
nightmare.
my hell."
Yeah, I'm living hell now. Jeez, that's okay. So, you can't even watch them because Shark Week is, like, so interesting.
I do think it is interesting, but I don't
Can't
like
do
it.
it.
But I'm not bothered by, like, crocodiles, alligators. I don't like, whales, but I also
Killer
think, so
whales.
that's another fear I have,
Orcas?
is being small next to something
Yeah,
large.
that's my thing about the horses
So
earlier.
I also, yeah, but I think specifically in water for me,
Ah, okay.
like, I don't even on small boats, like, I've been on your parents' boats,
Mhm.
and we, like, go out and we're laying in the tube, and then when you have to, like, swim close to, like, climb up into the boat, like, I hate that part, and I just think of the propeller, and I'm like, "I hate the propeller." Like, it's gonna,
Oh.
like, slash me, and maybe that's from, like, one of those speed movies. I think someone got, like, sucked under a boat
Oh.
and slashed by the propeller,
Mhm.
so that's what I envision.
Yeah, that's
A
not,
lot of
like,
water fears.
yeah, it
Yeah.
seems like which, honestly, water's the scariest thing.
Yeah.
Our oceans are the scariest thing to
Yeah,
me.
we know more about space than we do the ocean.
Yeah, and that's why I don't well, majority of the reason, like, I'd say 80% of the reason why I don't like the beach is the sand. But I would say the remaining 20% of why I don't like the beach is related to how scary the water is.
Yeah, well, I definitely don't go out that deep.
Mhm.
I still enjoy boat fun because I
Yeah.
do like a boat activity, and a boat hang. But yeah, getting back into that boat, it's always just a little like, I don't like that. And I just
Yeah.
the thinking of being in the water next to a whale is very like, yeah, it's
I
weird.
can't
It's
even
the,
picture
like,
that.
being small next to something large is very uncomfortable for me in water.
Yeah.
I
I
don't,
can
like,
see that.
freak out when I'm next to a bus.
I mean, I grew up on the river, and it was I never thought about it then as a child because I was like, This is fun. I'm gonna go, like, tubing and
Yeah.
wakeboarding and all stuff like that." And I just think back of, like, I would just sit in the water in a life vest while I was trying to figure out how to water ski,
Yeah.
and you're in the middle of the water. But, like, I think I was more comfortable with it too because the river
Well,
it's
that's
narrow. But,
different.
I mean,
Like
hey,
rivers and lakes.
sharks can get in there.
No. I
It's
mean,
connected to the bay.
okay, well,
Am I
that's like
ruining the river
saying
for
an
you?
octopus. An octopus it could get in there.
Bull sharks are freshwater and saltwater.
Okay.
They can survive in both.
Wow.
And our water is more brackish. So technically, they could
You're
survive.
doing this to me.
I don't know. Apparently, I'm trying to ruin the
You're
river
like,
for
I
you.
want you to hate summertime activities.
Yeah, sorry.
I was like, was I really that bad of a guest that you're like, I
No.
really want Rachel to never come to the river again?
Just seeing how far it
Because
goes.
I do like to look for ways to invite myself. So.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going this weekend, actually.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited.
For Father's Day.
Hang with Pops, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be good. But yeah, I get the water thing, though. I can understand that. I'm also very intrigued by it, though.
Do feel comfortable with my swimming ability. Like, definitely going to get last place in the race, as we discussed. But like, I can do all the strokes and I can get out, and I feel good about
All
that.
the strokes. I can't. So it's impressive.
Yeah, you can.
Can't do butterfly.
I bet you could.
That's a dumb stroke, so.
Well, yes, as we
I can do the
discussed.
relevant strokes.
Strokes that matter.
That's what she said. There's I guess the added aspect for me is that maybe if I would decide to go into the water as long as I knew I could beat one of the other people next to me in swimming.
Okay.
As long as I'm not last in the race.
Noted.
Yeah.
So if you choose to go in the water with me, I'm like, Jen's making a mental, like, faster than her.
Yep. She'll
Okay.
die first. But that wouldn't be my thought process, to be honest with you. Although in reality,
literally just said it would be.
Well, no, I meant like with you, it wouldn't be my thought process.
Wow. Okay. So anyone else though?
But everybody else.
Everybody else.
Subject to judgment. No.
So if you're gonna go in the water with your husband, and it's like, well,
he would beat me.
Okay.
To safety. Yeah, and I don't know if I'd love that. Whereas like when we were on vacation, my brother was with us out in the water, and actually he convinced me to get out there, and I was like, I could beat my brother. I can.
No problem.
I can beat him back to safety. Plus, he just looks more appetizing, I think.
Okay. Is he more seal-like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Very much so.
What a nice compliment. Do you have a fear of public speaking? For some reason, because you say you have a lot of social anxiety, I don't know if that is a thing for you.
I have a fear of being in public, or being. I say this, and it's. I talked to a counselor or therapist in college about this, because we never could understand, or at least my therapy sessions, we could never figure out why I was comfortable getting onto the basketball court in front of a ton of people, and there was no problem. But if I stand up to present, it's the Eminem, knees weak, palms sweaty, and I actually actively faint.
Oh.
So that's the vasovagal syncope. I'm saying it wrong, I know.
I think you've told me this before.
Yeah. I have actively fainted from embarrassment.
Like, okay, tell me the story.
So there's the fainting from if I see blood.
Sure.
And that's part of it. The other part of it is I literally have gotten faint and actively fainted.
I don't think you can get faint. Do you get lightheaded and then faint?
Isn't that faint? Like, yeah, okay, yeah, lightheaded. I've gotten lightheaded and then fainted. I got faint. Thanks for the call out. From just being in front of people, and I think what we tied it to is if I'm not comfortable, like fully comfortable in what I'm saying, what I'm talking about to strangers, or whatever it is, I just let myself go apparently and just pass on out.
Like those goats.
Yeah, fainting goats. It's literally
fainting you're
Jenn.
like, I'm so overwhelmed, I pass out. So like, have you been standing at a podium and you just fell over?
I've never been at a podium. Luckily, I've never been at a podium, but it's worse than that, in my opinion. Like, I have been at a women in business meeting for Randolph-Macon, like, current students and alum.
Yeah.
And in the middle of talking to people and fallen.
Wait, so, like, not even, like, you are individually talking to a group,
I was
just like, in a group of people?
A group of people.
Wow. Yeah. Did you wet yourself that time?
No. That's the only time I've fainted so many times.
You can just be like, oh, no blood sugar, low blood sugar. But I say that I have fainted times, not from embarrassment. I do think just like it was too hot, I was dehydrated, and I'm still like, that was embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I've only ever peed myself when I had the seizure, to be fair, because I fainted a lot of times. And if I peed every time, it'd be like, okay, we need to figure out something for this.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I fainted starting in like 2nd grade because I was embarrassed because I was being yelled at for messing up a computer in computer class. Fainted in 5th grade. because I was told to come up to the front of the class and I didn't know the answer because
I'm
I was goofing
sorry
off.
I'm smiling.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
just
funny. It is funny. I was feigning since I was 2nd grade.
it's really funny just to think about you being, like, told you're doing something wrong, and so you just like, you just I love her because it seems like you're making a joke, like, you're just trying to, like, "Oh, I'm gonna pretend I'm asleep to remove myself from this conversation," but you're, like, actively passing out.
You thought exactly what the teachers thought.
What?
It was like, "Stop goofing around, Jennifer. Get up."
Okay, so
There was never no one thought to say, "Hey, is this child okay?" So I went until,
like, how
uh,
quickly did you come to?
8th grade before I don't know. No idea. I have no idea.
Like, do you when you wake up, are you like, what is that experience like?
It's you will wake it up and you're like, "What just happened? Did I really just fall?" Because 'Cause you're
And
out before you fully
did they
fall.
still not believe you?
I mean, it never went further than that. It was like, "Stop playing around. You have to go to the principals or something. Go sit down. You don't know the answer. Just go sit down in your seat." Yeah. As a
Wow.
child, that was, like, awful because, like
Yeah.
yeah, but no one was like, "Oh, this child has a problem." It was just like, "This child is annoying." And I don't
Right.
blame them. I was kind of probably an annoying
You're like,
kid.
"Also was annoying, but I also
Clearly
was
had a problem.
passing out." Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's
You know,
public speaking, I guess, would say, yeah, fear.
but even that's not, like, public speaking, that's just
Oh, yeah.
speaking.
Yeah, my anxiety comes from, like, being uncomfortable, so it's similar to, I think, why I pass out. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm uncomfortable in a lot of public situations where I don't know a lot of people or there's just a lot of people doing things actively around me,
Yeah.
and then it causes me to freak
Do
the
you
fuck
feel
out.
like it's still that bad?
No,
Like,
it's
have
gotten
you
so much better,
okay.
and I think a lot of it comes with confidence.
Yeah.
So, like, as you growing up, you lack a ton of confidence in for a variety of reasons
Sure.
and a lot of things. And so as I got older, I stopped feigning for certain reasons. Maybe the others still were present. Um, and then actually, I took a class in my MBA program that was like designed to like help you with presenting and
Yeah.
communicating. And I felt like just going through that and it's repetition too. So you present a lot, you put together slides, present a lot. I think that helped me too
Yeah.
with like, okay, in order to get comfortable with this, you just gotta practice. Just make sure you're comfortable with it, and then you're fine.
Yeah. But it's hard to practice meeting new people. I mean, I guess it's not,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
yeah.
I get yeah. The worst part was when I, was old enough to go to a bar and was overwhelmed just because I couldn't get to the bar to order a drink and had,
Yeah.
like, an anxiety attack sitting there in public, and I had to, sat down somewhere. I didn't care who was around me. Like, I sat down and I was clearly, like, having an anxiety attack. Just uncomfortable in a bar,
Yeah.
and it's like, "What do you mean?" Like, that's every 23-year-old's normal happy place.
Did you pass out?
Luckily, no, because by that point, I learned how to prevent myself from fainting. So I literally was in a bar with my head between my knees.
Okay, because I was gonna be like, at least when you, like, know it's happening, you can say, like, "I'm gonna remove myself from the situation,"
Yep,
or do
you can
something.
feel it coming, and so, yeah, I figured that out, and so I have to sit down and just put my head between my legs.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, and, like, I think we've talked about this before, but, like, I got so used to not being around people during COVID that, like, the first time things, like, opened up and I was in a big crowd, I was like, "I feel extremely overwhelmed and
Mhm.
claustrophobic," and, like, I was like, "I need to find space." Like, when we went to the Irish festival once,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
was insane, and then we found a place, like, far away from people. I was like, "Okay, I can breathe. I feel better."
Yeah.
And I didn't used to be like that. I mean, Hall of Doom. I used to thrive on the crowd. Remember I
Hall of
told you Hall of Doom?
I thrived on the crowd. Yeah, that is doom. That's awful.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's better now.
You grow and you have new fears.
Yeah, like spiders. Or spiders have probably always been there. Wait, what are your new fears?
I don't know. Maybe you just drop off some fears? I don't know. I could potentially say, like, fears as we're actively trying to have a kid. One of my fears is becoming a mom.
Yeah.
I'm terrified. Terrified of that.
Yeah,
If that
that's
ever
fair.
happens for us, I am terrified for me. That's a fear.
Well,
Fear unlocked.
I think you will be an incredible mom.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I know we, like, joke that we're like, "Jen just wants to be alone and doesn't like others and is mean and tells it like it is,"
Check,
but you're
check.
actually very loving and kind and a loyal friend.
Oh, see? Look at us getting all sentimental
Yeah.
here. I don't
So
even I'm uncomfortable. I don't know what to do. I'm
I'll
it's a
pass out.
compliment. Yeah, yeah, that's
Uh,
the new fear I've unlocked, I think, as I've gotten older.
yeah. I'm
J
trying to think if I feel like as I age, my fears are more so like, am I getting what I want out of life
Well,
and
that's a
doing the
good one.
things that I wanna do?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, these are more like introspective fears, not like fears of the physical world," you know?
Yeah, but I mean, that's still valid,
It's still
like
a fear.
yeah, it's still a valid fear, and yeah, I feel like that's the midlife crisis thing too, when people get to there. I don't know if this is actually what a midlife crisis is, but in my mind, I'm like, "Have I accomplished what I thought I would by this time I'm this old?" And,
Yeah.
like yeah, right? Like, I feel like that could potentially be why people do things, crazy things, because it's
Yeah.
just like, "Holy shit," like
I do think it makes me more of a, like, yes person.
mhm,
Like, I've gone on 2 amazing, like, once in a lifetime trips this year,
yep,
and it was just like, "Yep, yep." I mean, it also comes from a place from, like, when you're in your 30s and you're more financially stable, and we don't have kids, and so it makes
yeah,
it easier to do stuff like that. Because when I was in my 20s and had no money, it's like, I don't even know if I can travel to this wedding that's a few states away, you know? So
yeah,
now it's like, "Oh, I want friends to have destination weddings," so I can be like, "Yeah, let's go."
yep.
Um,
Yeah, I like that. I feel like, I try to do that as often as possible, like, say yes to those types of things. I also try to say no as often as possible if I know I'm not gonna be happy.
yeah, and that's important too.
It's like, I don't wanna say yes because 'cause I'm making someone else happy. It depends.
Yeah,
Like, I want to still like, those I love, obviously, that's a different scenario, but, like, sometimes you're going to certain things, like work events,
yeah,
and it's just like, that's not something that I think is gonna bring me joy.
right.
Um, but, yeah, so I feel like Nathan's the same way. He's like, there's a ton of really cool opportunities that he could have this year, and I'm like, "You should go." And he's
Yeah,
hesitant. He's like, "I don't know, it's like, it's gonna be a lot of money." And I'm like, "No, we'll figure out the money. Right
yeah,
now is when we don't need to worry about money because we don't have a kid.
yeah,
Like, figure it out now.
right.
That's when that's 100% how you should just like, push for that." And I wish I would've had that mentality in my 20s when I didn't necessarily have the money, but it's just like, "Fuck it.
Same.
I wanna
Yeah.
do it, and I'll figure out a way to make it work."
Right, and I also feel like well, both of us are very just, like, financially responsible, so we would figure it out and it would be
Yeah.
fine, whereas I'm like, "Okay, well, some people maybe have too much of that mentality, and then you have a lot of debt, and it's kind of ruined your life," and I'm not saying pro that,
Yeah.
like,
We're not
stay
saying rack
within
up
your
credit card
limits,
debt. That's not
but
good.
yeah, I know what you mean. I think I was, like, so frugal because I didn't, like, know what I was doing with my life and
But that translates to how you travel, because I feel like now that I'm a little bit more comfortable financially, it's like, I'm not gonna stay in a hostel. But
yeah,
previously, it's like, yeah, there for the experience. I'm not there for a luxury stay.
yeah,
Whereas, like, now I'm like, "No, I'm gonna pay a little more to get, like, the fancy privacy and my own
yeah.
comfy
It's
bed."
kinda weird when you see yourself slowly making that shift from, like, whatever the cheapest option possible, and you're like, "Oh, I will pay an extra $25 a night for this."
$150. Like
Yeah, well, yeah, I would but I mean, honestly, that is probably what it is, but I feel
Yeah.
like there was a time in my life where I'd be like, "Oh, no, this one's $10 cheaper, but
Yeah.
much shittier. I'm doing the $10 cheaper
100
one."
Yep.
And now I can be like, "That's dumb."
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that I saw that happening to me with the garage built that we built in the back
Yeah.
of the yard, back of the house. It was very much like, okay, so for $50 more a brick, I could have this, which looks better. That's a
Fif
terrible
I was like,
example.
$50 a brick?
Yeah, I don't know. That was an
Okay, but I
exaggeration.
get
Yeah.
yeah,
But I cut those corners when I renovated my bathroom because I had to renovate the bathroom because of the leak.
right.
And so, well, I guess it wasn't a renovation, I was putting a bathroom back together that had to get completely destroyed. But I cut so many corners, and now you're living with that bathroom for the rest of your
Yeah.
life. And you're like, "Ah, God."
Right.
These decisions that you were like, "Okay, sure, let's go with this tile instead of this because it's
And it feels
so
overwhelming at the
much
time because you're
cheaper."
already spending so much money.
Yeah, that you don't have. You
Yeah.
didn't plan for.
Right.
You didn't want this change.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
But your bathroom is still beautiful.
it's nice. I mean,
I
there's
mean, I'm not in there every
living with it
day,
every day,
but
yeah.
yeah. For me, just looking at it, it looks nice.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't change much. When I bought the house, they already had a bathroom that you could play baseball in, if I would quote the song.
What song?
Isn't that like a um
I thought you were gonna say that was on the listing.
I'm not even
I was
gonna
like,
try to
that's a
sing it
weird listing.
'cause,
Who is it? Is this
it's a rock song, I think. Bathroom they could play baseball in, I gotta go nope, I
well, you
ruined that.
saying rock song, but you're giving it a twang like it's a country song.
Yeah, I think I'm just trying not to sound really bad.
You don't have the what I have where I will just
Yeah, no.
burst into it
No, remember,
confidently and correct.
public speaking
Yeah.
kit.
Well, you're laying down. You're
Yeah,
fine.
there you go.
You know, we didn't talk about this on the death and dying episode, but is you dying something that gives you fear?
Mm-mm,
Me neither.
not even a little
I
bit.
don't want the people that I love to die, but like me personally dying doesn't
Yeah,
scare me. And I
it's yeah,
guess
100%
like I
others,
don't
though.
want to die young. I would like to live a long life. Um,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
ooh, on that topic, would you rather know how you're gonna die or when you're gonna die? And I do believe there is a correct answer, but
I mean, I have to have one? I have to pick
that
one.
is part of the game.
That's part of the game. So know when I'm gonna die or know how I'm gonna die? I think I'd rather know when.
That is the correct answer.
Yeah.
Because if it's how you're gonna die,
Correct answer.
well, because okay, if it's how you're gonna die and it's car accident, then you're like
Terrified to drive.
never getting in a car.
Ooh, good
But
point.
then if you know, you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna die." Even if it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna die at 38." It's like, "Okay, that's
I gotta live it up hard.
yeah," versus I'm gonna die at 92 and you're just like, "Oh, maybe that's probably gonna happen." I mean, I feel like when that year comes, it'll be a very stressful year because you have like, "Oh, what's gonna happen in this year?"
Yeah, but
But
hopefully you've, like, you know, lived. You've lived.
yeah,
And
well,
you've
it's
had
more so just like everything you do, you're like, "Oh, maybe I'll slip on the curb and break my ankle and then get pneumonia in the hospital," and it's this whole really taking it far.
Yeah.
But I was playing some, like, intense would you rathers on my trip
I
with some
love
people,
Would You Rather.
and this guy was just like, "I choose death. I refuse to answer the question." And I was like, "Well, you can't.
For
It's not for that one, just
oh,
for, like, different ones we were doing." And I was like, "It's a thought experiment game. Like, you won't be forced to do one of these
and
things."
it's not actually gonna happen.
Right, and his mind was just really struggling because we were doing, like, intense or, like, grotesque ones, and I think he was like, "I wanna play the game where it's like, would you rather have the superpower to fly or be invisible?" I'm like, "Well, that's no fun."
Yeah, hello.
I need people to question their morals.
Yeah, I'm here for that.
Yeah.
I know the Would You Rather we've played. It's there.
Uh,
Yeah, that yours is actually better. That wasn't a it's a good Would You Rather.
yeah, and that one it's not too intense, you know?
Yeah. No, I'm afraid of people dying though. Other people.
Yeah.
I think that scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm
but this
really
is not the death and dying episode,
it's not.
so it's fear. New fear unlocked.
There was an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark, just to go back to the 90s TV episode, where this guy had a restaurant and you never watched Are You Afraid of the Dark, right?
No, because I am afraid of the dark.
Okay,
Or I was when
well,
I was a kid.
he had a restaurant and everyone was obsessed with the soup and no one could get the magic recipe for the soup. And it turns out the secret ingredient was he had this room that people go in and it like creates whatever their biggest fear is. And then when they start sweating and you like collect the sweat from someone in their biggest fear moment and you put a drop of that in the soup.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So if it was me,
This
I
was a
would be
kid's
in
show?
there. Yeah.
No. That's
And
disgusting.
the example, one of them that they give when the guy's sitting in there, it's like, he's like, I don't have any fears. And he sits down, and all of a sudden, this coffin shows up.
Him
and it
dying.
opens no, it's, like, his dad
Oh,
or someone, but, like or grandpa, but not in a, like, "Oh, I'm scared of my dad dying." It's like, "Oh, I'm was scared of my dad, and this is him coming back to life
oh
to, like, kill
shit.
me." It was a pretty they had some pretty
It's
dark
a
episodes
racy
for a
kid
kid
show.
show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not a fan.
pretty racy.
I don't like it. Here I am, like, I'm gonna stick with my really bad Ren and Stimpy over
Yeah.
I just don't like scary. So, like, that's bothers me too because I feel like I have, like, told people I don't like scary movies, right? It's a fear, afraid of them, and I'm okay with that. But then there's, like, this separation of thriller versus horror.
Oh, yeah. I don't like the gore.
I don't like the gore. Is that what horror is different from thriller? But I
That's
don't like the feeling of being terrified either. That's the thriller piece of it, right?
yeah, I don't mind a, like, jump and, like, being on edge. I act like, I kinda went through a phase where I loved horror movies in high school, and then I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it really messed me up, and
'Cause
for,
that
like,
shit's real life.
years is that based on
It's
true
based on a
events?
true story.
Oh.
That's the shit that bothers me. We're
Um
just giving people ideas too with those Saw murders and like hostile shit. You're just giving sick
Well, that's what
freaks out there.
Scream I do like those movies. Scream is literally about people mimicking the, like, prior screams and, like, recreating them to, like, have their moment of glory. They're
Yeah.
actually very good.
Mm,
But they do have some gore but they're not, like, scary.
I don't know. Nathan will try to like sell me on like, oh, this isn't horror, it's thriller, so it's fine. And I'm like, I don't know if you understand what I mean when I say I'm afraid of these things.
But will you watch something like Get Out?
I did, and I didn't like it. Like, I mean, I thought it was really good, but like like the movie, but I was
Yeah,
like
that was still too much for you.
didn't like the way it made me feel.
Okay.
I like the suspense at times.
Yeah.
And I feel like that suspense was good. Um,
But once they get close to the end where there's blood and
and
stuff
then
like
I'm
that, it
just
was too
jumping and I'm
much.
like, "Holy shit." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Why the fuck would they do that?"
Yeah.
That's yeah, that gets me. Gets
Yeah,
me
that
good.
makes sense. Okay. I accept.
Yeah, don't ask me to come watch scary movies because I'm just not interested. Too scared. Too scared.
Well, would you be interested in doing one of these high ropes course with me, or will that ruin your life?
No, I'd be down. Because I also feel like there's
To, like, challenge yourself, like, would you find joy in it, or you're just like,
well, I
"Okay."
mean, those things also require like athleticism, right?
Yeah, that's why I think they're fun because 'cause they're like obstacle courses, but you're
Yeah.
just in a harness.
And those are the things I like. I like those things. If I can compete, that's a win. So I would say I would put the competition aspect and that thrill at higher than the sphere of heights.
Okay.
And so it's like, okay, it overpowers the fear of heights.
Yeah.
Outpowers, overpower. Yeah.
Skylar also has a fear of heights, but he also used to work as a, theater electrician and lighting
Yep.
designer, which requires you to, like, be way up in these, like, rafter things, hanging lights and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Did
he's
that
like,
help with his fear?
yeah, I just had to get over it."
Oh, yeah. So it helped him get over it.
Yeah.
At least that's good.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this obstacle course is
Actually,
gonna
I
help me
don't
get
know
over
if he
mine.
got over it, like, he's still I'll have to ask him if he
Yeah.
still, like, classifies as having a fear of heights. Like, I think him, like, jumping off a cliff into water, hard pass.
Yeah.
Like, he has no interest in that.
Yep.
Um,
I think that you're
and I don't know
psycho
if
if you
he
do,
has an
so
interest in doing this, like, ropes course thing with me, which is why I'm trying to ask other people, and they're like, "No, I also have a fear of heights."
no,
But he's also
I'd be
been
down.
skydiving before.
I'd be
But I
down to
think he
do it.
told me that was because he was trying to impress some girl. So, that makes
Oh,
sense. Apparently, he's already impressed me enough, so he doesn't wanna
that's hilarious.
do the ropes course with me.
I'm pretty sure that yeah, it's that I would be good with that because I think we did one for my BA program, and I feel like that's how they got me to get up there was by saying like, "You really gonna?" They got up there, and you're not gonna get up there. You're
Yeah.
gonna let that, and I'm like, "Oh
Now
yeah,
I don't want you to pass out up there. Granted, you're hooked
competition
into
now." Yeah,
the harness, so you won't
yeah.
just fall off the rope.
Ideally,
Yeah. All right. Well, that
yeah,
was fun.
yeah.
I knew that, like, Vegas nerve thing about you, but I didn't I guess I've not to that degree. Like, I know you, like, get social anxiety, but, like, passing out
Yeah,
in
faint.
elementary school and stuff.
Oh yeah, I remember
Wait,
it
you
every
can
time.
get faint, I think. Now I'm, like, questioning then you said it that time and it sounded normal.
Look who's
Can you get oh, wait, okay, I think it's because you can feel faint, and so for some reason being like, "Oh, I got faint." But that makes sense.
You're confusing me now.
One of my one of my best friend's moms, she, um, loves to have a little treat after dinner, and she'll always be like, "I'm feeling a little faint. I need some sugar." And so that's when I was like, "Oh, you can feel faint."
I feel a little faint, need some sugar.
Yeah.
That's what like the way
And
you
I
said that.
just wanna be like, "You can have a piece of pie if you want. You don't need to
Okay.
say, like, I'm gonna pass out if I don't get some cake."
Oh, no, that's the mindset, though. You have to have a reason for wanting that sugar. It's
Yeah, no, you don't.
gonna go straight to your thighs.
All right. So, thank you all so much for listening. Share your fears with us.
Yeah, let us know.
That's always fun. And as you all know, we're on Instagram and YouTube at Similar But Different Pod. Please send us in your topics. We get really excited when we pull one from the vase jar. Maybe we should just call it the VAR because
The VAR.
I always
Well, VAR has negative connotations in some things. Sports.
what?
VAR. VAR.
What is that?
It's video review.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wait, well, oh, VRR or VAR?
It's VAR.
And
It's
it's like
probably
video
video.
audio
I
review?
don't know what it stands for
Video
exactly.
action review.
Sure. It's just a video review.
Okay, well, then we won't call it VAR
It's in
because
sports and it can sometimes ruin it. So,
sports. Wait, why does it ruin it?
well, because like sometimes my guy's off sides for the team I want and they don't call it on the field. And then it goes back and they look at the VAR and now it's offside. So the goal doesn't count. And I hate that.
Ah,
This is a side rant.
okay, good to know. I learned
We'll
something.
talk about sports. We're going to have a sports podcast soon.
Yeah, we definitely will. Well, sports podcast episode. Can't do a sports podcast.
Oh, yeah. Not a whole
It
podcast.
would be entertaining to like. I'm sure those exist of someone who like loves sports and someone who. Well, I guess I know enough, so
Yeah.
I just don't watch or follow them. But as someone who like didn't at all, that'd be kind of fun.
We're going to do some episodes on it because I love talking sports, baby.
Sports, baby.
Chill.
All right. Thanks, y'all. Till next time.
We love you.
Well, I don't know all of them.
At least our
Maybe like Putin listens. I don't love him.